and myself, trustee Gardner, is present. So we are all here today. Thank you very much. Let's go ahead and go into closed session. Welcome everybody back to open session. There is no reportable items from closed session. We're going to go to orders of the day. Item 7.3D is going to be heard before the consent calendar this morning. Can I get a motion for that? Motion by Santos. Second. Second by Lee. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Sorry, if I could just get everybody to put their mics on. Sorry.
We do need to waive some sunshine on items 7.3C1 and 7.3C2, updated board operational policy, and then also items 7.3D1 and 7.3D2, which is update trustee educational travel policy. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Santos. Second by Gardner. Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes. So with that, we are going to go ahead and jump to item 7.3D.
You're okay if I start? So thanks for taking this a little bit out of order today. 7.3D is the discussion and action on the governance committee recommendation to accept the updated trustee education travel policy. So as you will know, right before I got here, the board approved the current version of the trustee educational travel policy. It was in effect for about a year. I had been hearing some feedback from some trustees. I had been hearing feedback from some of the administrative staff. And so I solicited input from trustees and from staff. So most of the changes in the trustee policy are related to some of the operational feedback that I had received after this was enacted a year prior. There was one technical correction in the update, which included codifying the board's intent to allow trustees to stay at cheaper venues if they chose, rather than requiring them to. As well as just a bunch of other feedback from staff and trustees. We did 2 rounds of edits at the last 2 governance committee meetings. And I'll let the members of the governance committee chime in if they would like to share their points of view on the policy.
Just quickly, Mr. CEO, you guys did a fantastic job. Federated and Lisa Farr worked well together. It was a quick meeting. We thought it was going to be longer, but it was really good and clarified things. Trying to align with the city so we can have the collaboration and assistance. So I was very happy. Thank you.
No, it was really a necessary change. For those of us that traveled under this policy, I think there was a misinterpretation of it. It was designed to give trustees originally more freedom. As an example, if the conference was at a Hyatt, there was a Marriott across the street, and you're a Marriott guy, and you could get it for a cheaper rate. We were able to do it, and what it transferred into is you go to the cheapest hotel within a certain radius. And that just took away a lot of the quality. And I think Gretchen's experienced it where you you get out at 4:30 and there's a mixer at 6:30 and you gotta sit around with your backpack and your computer for 2 hours, or you gotta take an Uber there, go drop your stuff and then come back. So this kind of alleviates all that.
Any other discussion? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Second.
We've got a first by Santos, second by Votto. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you. So we'll go ahead and go to the consent calendar. Can we get a motion for the consent calendar? Motion by Santos. Second by Eshwar. Any discussion? Anybody want to pull anything or discuss anything on there? Not, I'll entertain a motion.
You just got
Oh, sorry, you already did, sorry.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. All right, that brings us to investments. Update from our CIO.
Good morning, trustees. Happy New Year. There are no agenda items this month. We'll have some next month. But as always, I have performance estimates for the plan as well as the healthcare trust. As of Monday, the 19th, fiscal year to date, the pension plan was up 7.7%. And the healthcare trust was up 10.43%. This, of course, does not include the big sell-off yesterday. But we gained some back today because we're not going to use force Greenland. At least some of it. Anyway, with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Would your allocation change if Greenland was part of the US and not international?
It's just a piece of ice,
Yeah.
and that's not my original report.
But thank you very much. All right, we're gonna go ahead to old business 3A, discussion action on discount rate assumption for OPEB. We have Chiron.
I'll discuss it. I believe Bill is online. He's not here in person today. Wasn't planning to be here, but you may remember we had a discussion at the last meeting. It wasn't agendized for action, but during that discussion, the trustees were leaning towards changing the discount rate to be 6.25%. We discussed the back and forth between leaving it at 6%, moving it to 6.25%. I know that Chiron is prepping for the assumption that it'll be 6.25% based on the discussion that we had at the last board meeting. Bill, if you're online, is there anything you want to add to that?
I am here. That is correct. I'm happy to address any of the issues around it, but we need a decision from the board so that we can finalize the report.
Does the board have any questions or anything you guys want to discuss? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Second,
Can we be specific to increase it to 6.25?
yes.
Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
so first by Santos, second by Gretchen. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, passed. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
All right, for 4A, oral update by CEO Junklin.
Good morning, everyone. Running the risk of offending the Curb Your Enthusiasm fans, I just want to wish everybody here and our members a happy and healthy new year. 2026 promises to be interesting. Right before the holidays, the city manager enacted some cost control measures to bridge both a budget gap in fiscal year 26 and expected budget gap in fiscal year 27. Expected to be $55 to $65 million to the general fund. Most notable impacts for ORS are the request to reduce personnel spending. So there's been a hiring freeze that went into effect on 12/22. The goal is to reduce costs and prepare for potential fiscal year 27 budget reduction proposals. Reducing or limiting overtime to critical operations and limiting temp staff for only critical operations. They've also asked to eliminate discretionary employee travel that requires overnight stays or airfare. Also, AB 339 went into effect on January 26th. This is the public agency contracting notice requirements. Working with Reed Smith and now the city manager's office and city attorney's office, we believe that this statute applies to ORS. This means that there will be a minimum 45-day waiting period for applicable contracts, procurements, renewal of existing contracts, and extensions of existing contracts where union work is implemented. I'll be working with OER to determine how applicable contracts are determined and what the process will be. But just know that, I feel our procurement timelines are generally twice as long as they should be. And this is gonna add another 45 days to that, potentially, if it's union impacting. So as an example, we're buying a piece of software. That's not necessarily something that would fall under this, but, we do communications work. That might be something that would have to go through this process. Staffing update, working with city finance and city manager's office, I've been able to obtain exceptions for our critical benefit vacancies, even though there are hiring freezes in place. And all of the recruitments were in progress. We had already received resumes when the freeze went into effect. So we're allowed to proceed working with Sandra and the benefits team through the recruitment process. We have, as a reminder, we have 3 pension analyst vacancies. We hope to hold the first round of interviews before the end of the month. And our rehire retirees and temp positions will continue for the next few months while to assist in the workload while we transition. Also, the overstrength program manager position that was approved right before the holidays through the mayor's office, we were also able to get an exception for the hiring freeze. We had already received, the application period had already closed, and we're hoping to start recruitment shortly and have someone in the position by March. For our investment compensation study, I've received the raw data from Gallagher and met with them to answer some of their questions. I expect to have a final draft of this report this week and plan to meet with them on Friday to address some additional questions. We're working with the JPC chair and vice chair to schedule a meeting in February so that Gallagher can present their report and recommendations to the JPC, which we will then bring to the full boards for recommendation. As you know, ORS hosts quarterly retirement planning sessions. The next session is scheduled for mid-February. For procurement updates, our Milliman actuary audit contract is complete, and I'll no longer be reporting on that, thankfully. Baker Tilly, our internal audit services provider, contract has been signed, and we're waiting for some administrative documents to complete the administrative contracting process. But nonetheless, we had an internal kickoff meeting with Baker Tilly last week. They have started their risk assessment and have requested their first sets of deliverables. To date, this has included related documents about previous audit work completed, as well as setting up interviews with internal executives. Once the committee assignments are completed, hopefully today, we'll coordinate a kickoff with the audit committee chair and schedule some one-on-one interviews. We signed our contract with MMRO, our independent medical examiner, and onboarding is underway. ExamWorks, we had some delays with this vendor, but we have now reached an agreement with ExamWorks. We're working through the final set of risk approvals to then sign the contracts. The delays have caused a small break in service, which caused us the need to reschedule a few medical appointments. Strategic planning over the holidays, before the holidays and over the holidays, working with Aon. Aon had sent out our external stakeholder surveys. I would say that the response rate was not what we hoped, but nonetheless, we did extend the deadline in order to help facilitate some additional responses. I mean, it was over the holidays, so into the beginning of the year. But nonetheless, the responses were good, that we did receive were good and insightful. Working with Aon, we hope to present some summary report at the February board meeting. On the governance side, Amanda, who is our new program manager, is working to develop a policy governance work plan. We're planning to bring this work plan to the governance committee in March so we can establish a framework for managing and updating ORS policies over the next 2 to 3 years. Of course, we'll be working in close coordination with Aon, not just on the work plan, but on the first sets of policies that we will undertake as part of that. I think some general updates. ORS office will be closed on February 16th and 17th for President's Day. I think that's also the week of our board meetings, so it's going to be a fun packed week for the days that we are here. And then lastly, we're currently exploring moving to digital distribution of our monthly retiree pay stubs, or we call them advice, to be digital. ORS began defaulting new retirees to digital advice in 2020, allowing them to opt into paper. But just for some rough numbers, currently we produce about 5,300 advices every month. The postage alone is about $3,000 a month, so $36,000 per year, not including materials or staff time. So we're taking a look at that. We want to see what the impact would be and how we can best communicate this with our members. I'm somebody who likes to get my paper advice, so I definitely understand that. But you know, in the case where we can even save half of that, it would be worth it. So we want to make sure we have a thoughtful plan, and we've met all the legal requirements in order to be able to move to that digital compliance. With that, I'll take any questions.
John,
Yes.
one question about the vacancies that you got the approval to hire. Are those salaries paid by ORS or the city?
They are paid by ORS.
John, another question,
Sure.
we did the
Oh, you're
Gallagher,
Sorry, yeah, no worries.
with the Gallagher survey, and you said with the JPC work, when do you expect to have any sort of results of that survey and a point of view on compensation?
So we have raw data right now. Gallagher is drafting their summary reports, which should include recommendations. And I will hope to present both the report and the recommendations at this February JPC that we're trying to schedule. You know, I think it's important that we, I don't want to say that we move quickly, but we want to make sure we're moving with current data, right? We know this data gets out of date pretty quickly. The study has been going on for a few months. So, you know, we're working with the chairs to get that scheduled. And then, because first it goes to the JPC, then recommendations go to both boards, and then we've got to go to city, right? So it's minimum of months of process.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions for John? All right, now we'll go ahead and move to 4B update by council member Casey. Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year. Nothing substantive to report other than starting the budget process. Things don't look too good at the moment. No definitive numbers as we wait for the sales numbers to come in for the Christmas break. But it's not looking good. So sorry to be the bearer of bad tidings, but hoping that number shrinks as we get the sales numbers in. It's the only update.
Thank you. All right, 4C, discussion and action on standing committee assignments. So in front of you, you have a piece of paper with a list of our current committee assignments. In reviewing this, you know, one of the things that, you know, I was talking to John about in the last month or so was around succession planning, and looking at, you know, on the front page of our agenda, you know, all of our term expirations. we noticed that there are potentially four trustees, terms coming up, next year or in October, November. And hopefully we don't lose anybody, but depending on what happens, I want to plan for the worst. And so with that in mind, I'm trying to set up each committee. My recommendations here is trying to set up each committee for succession planning. And that was, a big part of how I was trying to think about this. I'm going to go ahead and read off to you, since we don't have anything up on the screen, I'm going to read off to you the different committee assignments. There's going to be a lot of changes in regards to the chairs of them, but then there are smaller changes within the committees itself. And like you mentioned, this is just a recommendation. So for investments, one thing that we talked about last year was trying to get people onto that committee, and trying to get someone off, every single year. That's a committee that a lot of people want to, be on and participate in. Eshwar, has volunteered to come off that committee. So he's going to be off that committee. Howard Lee will become chair. Myself will stay on, David Kwan will stay on, and Sunita will come onto the board or onto the committee. Audit risk. Howard is currently the chair of that. He will be coming off. And so the new committee assignments would be Dave Woosley as chair, Sunita, and Eshwar. Governance. Governments, the committee is going to stay the same, which is going to be Santos, Franco, and Gretchen. But I'm going to move Gretchen to the chair position. Disability, Santos is chair, Woosley still on it. We have Howard Lee as alternate one. Gretchen's going to slide into that spot. We'll still have Franco Votto, Howard Lee, and then myself as the second alternate. JPC is going to stay the same for the next few months. The reason behind that is we are in the middle of the CIO interview process, and we want to try and keep that committee as consistent as possible through that process. Once that process is completed, the plan is to make changes to it because per the charter, it's based off of the IC chair is a member, the board chair is a member. And so since Howard is the IC chair, he will be coming onto this board at a future date. And so, but in the meantime, we'll go ahead and keep that committee the same for the next few more months. Is there any discussions? Like I said, this is a recommendation. Is there any discussions on committee assignments or other changes you guys might like to see?
What is the action in Eddie?
Motion approved.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve as recommended.
Second.
Okay. First by Woosley, second by Santos. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, moving on to 4D presentation on relevant changes to the Brown Act. Reed Smith.
Good morning, members of the board, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. Today, we'll be providing some practical guidance on SB 707 and the Brown Act as they apply to meetings of the Board of Administration for the San Jose Police and Fire Department Retirement Plan. We will be focusing on teleconferencing, social media, and meeting decorum. The provisions of SB 707 that affect the board took effect on January 1st, 2026.
Next slide, please.
This is our agenda for our presentation. We will cover Brown Act basics as a refresher, what SB 707 changes, and then practical steps for compliance for the board. And then we will end with key takeaways and some time for Q&A. Next slide, please.
So we will begin at the starting point for a concise summary of the Brown Act to provide the grounds for the discussion. And as Chris mentioned, SB 707 is a legislative bill that came into effect in the beginning of January that amended the Brown Act. Just by way of quick background, it replaced AB 2449, which had authorized the board to participate remotely under certain circumstances. And so SB 707 we'll have a further discussion on it, but essentially replaces that and provides new rules for teleconferencing. So a bulk of our discussion will be on the teleconferencing, but before we get into that, we wanted to lay out just as a quick reminder, some of the Brown Act aspects as a refresher. Next slide, please. So what is the Brown Act? The Brown Act is a law, the California's open meetings law that applies to local agencies such as the boards. The purpose of the Brown Act is to provide transparency, public access, and require that all deliberations of the board happen in open, public noticed meetings with few exceptions that are statutorily specified within the Brown Act. And so in practice, what this means is that our agendas must be posted in advance with sufficient detail to put the public on notice about the business that the board seeks to conduct at its upcoming meetings. So one of the things that we struggle with at times as a board is to meet the 72-hour deadline to post our agenda on items that the board wishes to discuss. There is an exception in the Brown Act that allows the board to bypass the 72-hour window for posting on the condition of one, the issue for board action came up after the 72-hour posting window. Two, there's an immediate action that needs to be taken by the board. And number three, that the board votes by 2/3 majority to add that item to the board as an emergency item that needs to be voted on. And so that's the only exception to the 72-hour window of posting for a regular board meeting. There is also something called a special meeting, which allows the board to convene on an emergency basis within 24 hours. And as long as we post the agenda within that 24 hours, we are allowed to convene, provided there's a quorum. So those are the exceptions to the 72-hour posting for the agenda window. And another key aspect to note about the Brown Act's traditional requirements is that we need to provide a meaningful access to the board to provide comment. So public comment is allowable per item. However, it's limited to about 2 to 3 minutes. And the meetings have to be accessible to the public as well. Next slide, please.
The Brown Act also allows the board to discuss specific topics in closed session. This includes personnel matters, conferences with legal counsel regarding existing or pending litigation, labor negotiation, real property negotiations, any threats to public services or facilities, and a few other limited exceptions. As you know, closed session items must be listed on the open agenda, and any reportable action must be disclosed afterward in open session as required. Next slide.
So what is a meeting? This is really where the Brown Act jurisdiction applies. A meeting is where a majority or a quorum of the board gathers together to discuss board business. And this also includes, so that would include where there's a physical quorum of the board that discusses an item. The reason being is that the Brown Act requires you to notice the meeting and in a public setting to allow the board to conduct business. Another thing that the Brown Act to consider when you think about whether there's a meeting or not is that there's a thing called serial communications or serial meetings where person A talks to person B then talks to person C then talks to person D, and then you've reached a quorum. And so the reason why that's swept up within the Brown Act, even though the Brown Act's text itself does not prohibit serial meetings, it goes against the spirit of the law, is that the purpose of the Brown Act is to have all deliberations and decision-making made in the public. And so when you're behind the scenes having those conversations, that implicitly or functionally garners a majority on a particular issue that's a business of the board behind the open and public meetings, and so, or behind closed doors. So you got to be really careful about when you talk to other trustees on certain topics, because you don't want to inadvertently cause a serial meeting, because you can't control the next person's conduct and it might inadvertently happen. So that's one thing to be mindful of. That's one way it can manifest. Another way it can manifest is something called hubs and spokes, where, for example, Trustee Gardner is the hub and speaks with a variety of the trustees, and each of you are spoken. He speaks to each one of you individually, and he collects that information and then broadcasts it out. That I've spoken to all trustees, and there is a consensus that blah blah blah. So that would be considered hubs and spokes. Again, would violate the spirit of the Brown Act for the purpose that deliberations occurred outside the open and public agendized meeting. So those are two examples to kind of keep in mind. We'll talk about this in a few slides down, but social media, with the advent of social media, the idea of serial meetings and or hubs and spokes takes a different flavor. So put a pin in it. We'll come back to that. Next slide, please.
We also want to clarify what's not a meeting. So any attendance of trustees at conferences or social events is not considered a meeting, so long as the majority of trustees do not talk about board business. And a little bit about the social media exception. SB 707 extends indefinitely a provision that currently was set to expire this year. This social media provision allows the trustee to communicate with other people on social media platforms in their role for the purposes of answering questions, providing information to the public, or soliciting information from the public. This is not considered a meeting under the Brown Act, so long as you're not meeting or communicating and kind of engaging with those senior meetings through a social media platform. Next slide, please.
So on social media, let's give an example here. Say that Trustee Votto posts on Facebook his personal opinion about something that's on agenda item 4C before the board. And say Trustee Lee then likes it on the social media. How does the board conceive of that falling within the Brown Act? Open for discussion.
Yes, that falls under the Brown Act.
Well, it gets close. It does fall under the Brown Act because it does communicate consensus building. So, for example, if Trustee Lee likes something, that indicates his favorability towards a certain position that's before the board. So, in light of that, putting what Chris just said about what is uses of public or social media under the Brown Act. Under the previous law that's been currently adopted and embedded in SB 707, and also this other aspect of the Brown Act relating to serial meetings and whatnot. One thing to kind of the framework to think about it is social media is allowable if you're interacting with the public, but however, if you're using social media and another trustee that interacts with you, then that puts you within the realm of the Brown Act. So be very careful when you see another trustee posting something online. A lot of other public retirement plans have social media policies regarding when and what the trustees may post on social media. Because another thing to be mindful of is that the board speaks with a unified voice. The board acts together as a unified legal entity. And if one trustee goes out and makes a position that's stated on their own about something, then you kind of start eroding at that unity, and having the trustee go out there representing something that may not be the position of the board. So that's one recommendation we do have in light of the current use of social media, is to consider potentially adopting a social media policy for the governance of the board's communication online. Next slide, please.
Now we're gonna specifically turn to some of the specific changes in SB 707. So we just did a little bit of a Brown Act refresher where we're gonna kind of dive a little bit deeper into the implications of SB 707 for the spin. Next slide, please. This is just a quick reminder. This was signed into law in October of 2025. There are a lot of other provisions that apply to other boards, not public agencies, but the provisions specifically applicable to this board took effect on January 1st, 2026. So they're applicable now. Next slide. So what has changed? SB 707 was intended to modernize the Brown Act in 4 key ways. It expands and clarifies teleconferencing and remote participation rules for trustees. It clarifies the chair's authority to address disruptions, specifically to include remote participants. It requires every agency now to provide a copy of the Brown Act to each trustee, and it makes the social media exception that we just spoke about permanent with some defined guardrails. In practice, trustees now have to find pathways to participate remotely, including for disability accommodations or other just cause reasons that were expanded, subject to some annual caps and documentation. The chair's authority to maintain order expressly now includes participants to be able to kind of control order over a Zoom meeting. Each trustee now must receive a copy of the Brown Act, and then the social media exception now continues without expiration. Next slide, please.
Next slide, please. So all of you have heard me say this at the top of the meeting, almost frequently throughout our meetings, which is the traditional Brown Act rules. So under the traditional Brown Act rules, there are a couple components worth noting. One is that the teleconferencing location must be posted on the agenda. The location from where the trustee is taking the teleconference meeting must be open to the public, ADA accessible, and also the individual members of the public must be able to be heard from that location. So if an individual wants to come to where you are as a trustee teleconferencing from, they should be able to speak and have the board hear them from that location. So essentially it expands the meeting location to that remote location from where the trustee is taking it. A couple things to note here is that one, you have to be stationary. You cannot take a meeting, for example, in a car for obvious reasons. You can't, it's not open to the public. It's not stationary and can't meet the requirements of the Brown Act. So just wanted to throw that as an example. Another thing to note about this exception for teleconferencing, which is different from the other SB 707 teleconferencing rules, is that there is no limit to how many times you can teleconference under this rule. So that's one differentiating factor, let's say, for the traditional Brown Act teleconferencing rule. Next slide, please. So SB 707 amended the Brown Act and superseded what was sunsetted on AB 2449. Under AB 2449, there was something called the just cause exception, and it also had a secondary emergency circumstance exception. Under SB 707, they've all come under the same umbrella, and I'll turn it over to Chris to explain that in further detail.
Next slide, please. As Maytag was mentioning, it was more a little bit of a reorganization to kind of pull some of the emergency circumstances under the just cause. So these are now what just cause is considered under the Brown Act. It allows just cause for childcare, caregiving needs, for illness, for a need related to a mental or physical condition, for official travel, for certain immunocompromised relatives or supporting with that, certain family or physical or medical emergencies. And then something that was added was also just cause for certain military service obligations that have been filed of the board. Next slide, please.
Quick question.
Yes.
For the travel exception, would that have to be travel of or participating with something of that board or
Yes.
any?
No, it would be for official business related to the board.
And these are all statutorily defined. So that listing that you provided is all specified in the Brown Act. We can't add in any additional exceptions to the just cause definition.
And now on this slide, some changes that were now documented in the Brown Act is when using the just cause, just for compliance, now the minutes must specifically identify the legal basis that Maytag was talking about. For the trustee remote attendance, a trustee must also participate by audio and video, and a quorum of trustees must be physically present at the single location listed on the agenda. Each trustee may only use the just cause exception no more than twice in the calendar year. The trustee's remote location under this does not need to be posted or public. This authority sunsets on January 1st, 2020. So it's not definite, there's a clear sunset date. Next slide.
So some of you may remember this from the COVID era. Under the COVID era, when COVID-19 was present among us in a stronger way, or that are more prevalent, we had met under AB 361, which I believe is 361, which is allowing the boards to meet when there's a proclaimed state of emergency by the governor. Now, SB 707 has continued that exception, but also includes with it the ability for the local agency itself to declare an emergency circumstance such that in-person meetings would be a harm either to the participants or to the property. And so in addition to the governor stating a state of emergency, so for example, if there was an earthquake in San Jose, the governor would not proclaim a state of emergency for the entire state. However, the mayor could proclaim a state of emergency. This board could claim a state of emergency depending on what sort of side effects may have arise out of that earthquake that prohibits us from meeting. For example, say this building collapsed, that we wouldn't be able to meet. So that's an additional aspect that's been added to the Brown Act, is that the board itself and the local agencies around it itself can proclaim a state of emergency. Now, to invoke the state of emergency, there has to be a vote of the board, and it has to be done and renewed every 45 days. And to make a finding that an in-person meeting poses an imminent threat to both the people or the property. Next slide, please.
And this just summarizes what Maytag just spoke about. It's just the process the board needs to go to for this new emergency exception. If the board chose to vote that, it would need to make that mention of majority vote. And then for some reason it went beyond 45 days. Every 45 days, the board may take a new vote to invoke the local emergency exception to allow for teleconferencing for meetings. Next slide.
This is another new teleconferencing rule added to the Brown Act, which is a disability accommodation. So under the ADA, the federal law requires that reasonable accommodations be provided. So under the Brown Act, that now allows a trustee with a disability to participate remotely as a reasonable accommodation under state and federal law. The address does not need to be posted for this. And the attendance of the disabled trustee would be counted towards the quorum, would be counted towards the quorum, regardless of they're physically being present or not. Before an action is taken, however, for every single agenda item requiring action, the individual must state whether or not there's an individual with them in the room over the age of 18 and what their relationship is to that individual. Next slide, please.
And just in practice, we recommend that if someone wants to invoke this accommodation, the trustees work with ORS staff and with counsel to balance documentation needs also with that trustee's privacy. The default for participation under this exception is audio and video participation, unless the disability warrants audio only. So again, recommend working with staff to invoke this disability accommodation. Next slide.
Next slide, please. So these two here are not related to teleconferencing, but these are ancillary or additional aspects of the Brown Act that were added by SB 707. The first one is it codifies the chair's ability to remove an individual who is disrupting the meeting. Now, disrupting the meeting is defined as conduct that actually disturbs, impedes, or makes infeasible the orderly conduct of the meeting. The chair may warn the individual and or remove them explicitly if they are actually disrupting. Now, one thing I want to note for the chair, because he would be exercising that right, is that any sort of removal of the individual should be content neutral. The reason being is for free speech. considerations, for removing an individual. We can't remove them for what they're saying, but we can remove them for their conduct or actions. So if they're, running around the dais here, we can remove them for that, but we can't remove them because we didn't like what they said. So that's one thing to kind of keep in mind, because we are a government agency. We are bound by the Constitution. We are bound by the First Amendment, free speech rights to take into consideration. And secondarily here, this is kind of a minor one, so we saved it kind of for the last bit, which is each member of the board must get a copy of the Brown Act. We intend to do that at the beginning of training whenever a new trustee onboards. We don't need to provide that every single calendar year or whatnot. Next slide, please.
Now we're coming towards the end of our presentation and wanted just to give 3 practical takeaways. First, in the spirit of the Brown Act, please keep deliberations on posted agendas. Conduct any deliberations at notice public meetings. Second, use remote participation only under the specified pathways of the Brown Act or in the limits required, and then provide any disclosure documentation as needed. And then third, when maintaining public access, please apply the quorum rules uniformly to both in-person and remote participants. Just a reminder, the Brown Act is a floor. The City of San Jose Sunshine Ordinance, the municipal code can be a little bit stricter and will govern where they are. And with that, we've come to the end of our presentation. Are there any questions from any of the trustees?
Question on closed session. So who is under the act, who has the authority to determine what goes under closed session in the other bucket? Is it the chair or the attorney?
It's usually legal counsel, because we will look at the exception to see if it matches the statutory definition that allows us to go under, as well as related case law.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? If not, thank you, make that Chris.
Thank you.
All right, let's go ahead and go to 4E, discussion action on the 2025 police and fire self-assessment. Presented by Aon. We got Julie Becker here joining us. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning. You have in your materials the result of the board self-evaluation and a cover memo. We did go over the self-evaluation results with the governance committee. 8 trustees took the survey, and it was split into 4 sections. The first part prompted board members to consider the quality of their individual service on the board. Topics included meeting preparation, attendance, and engagement. The second part of the survey pulled agreement with various aspects of the board's operations as a collective, with topics such as collaboration, oversight, and meeting protocols. So the 3 highest rated scores include the board's action reflecting a commitment to your mission, the board being committed to continually improving by taking prompt action when opportunities for enhancement are identified, and appropriate attention being devoted to controlling operational investment and fiduciary risk. The items that receive the lowest average scores include board members keep decision-making at the policy level, delegate implementation of policy to staff, and do not engage in micromanagement. The board understands what authority it has retained, why it has retained it, what has been delegated and to whom, and board members are consistent about being prepared for meetings and staying engaged. The third part of the survey contained a ranking of desired continuing educational topics. So you'll see those on slide 35 of the results. And those receiving the highest rankings are actuarial principles, fiduciary responsibility and board governance, and risk management. The final part of the survey contained open-ended questions identifying strengths of the board on slide 38, includes diversity, collaboration, and engagement. The board's identified key priorities on slide 40 are hiring a new CIO, ensuring investment team stability and competitive compensation, strengthening financial outlook and governance, creating a strategic plan, and providing excellent service to retirees while managing funding and city contributions. The responses and subsequent discussions indicated the board would benefit from more open communication, greater appreciation of differing perspectives, improved training on fiduciary duties, better balance between strategic oversight and micromanagement, and ensuring all members are engaged in constructive problem solving and informed decision making. So along those lines, we have some recommendations for your consideration. The first is to create a more defined educational program action plan for new and existing trustees, where we would have required topics and also focus on the individual trustees' particular needs. And also encourage participation in educational conferences with your public pension plan peers. We also talked with John about scheduling continuing educational sessions on fiduciary responsibilities and board governance to really focus on delegated duties and the role of the board. We also recommend creating an accountability matrix, and it would include what you have delegated as a board, to whom, as well as required reporting mechanisms. We also have a suggestion to consider reorganizing agenda items to ensure action items take place at the beginning of the meeting after your consent agenda, followed by discussion and informational items. We recommend scheduling continuing educational sessions on actuarial principles and risk management, as those receive the highest rated scores, and consider updates to the code of conduct regarding agreed upon member expectation. So that is my summary, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Julie, thank you for the results and the summary. With respect to other plans and other clients, how have you seen, I guess, the effectiveness of training with respect to some of the things that were highlighted as, as things to work on? Do you see it as a long-term type of sort of approach? Education. In other words, how quickly do you see results in the survey after these, let's say, educational programs are implemented?
Sure. So, the good thing about having targeted education is you're hitting the topics that are desired by the board at the time the board has indicated it's needed. And we thought about breaking up educational sessions at different meetings, to go throughout the year. And I've seen the benefits of the trustees receiving those educational sessions. We do it so we break it down into manageable pieces, so it's not, 2 hours on fiduciary training. And we encourage discussion and collaboration during those sessions.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Just have an observation.
Yes.
On question 6, obviously everybody voted that the best use of the board is to establish policy, and the role of the AR staff is to implement policy. But there's a perception that there's a lot of micromanagement. How do we sort of bridge that?
That can be addressed during the training to talk about the board's role. And I would encourage the board to engage in meaningful discussion there. Can bring examples of that perception to the board's attention, so you can have a conversation about that, why that perception is out there. Also, having the accountability matrix setting is very important exercise to sit with the board, which can remind board members, okay, we've delegated this, so we just need to have oversight here, or we didn't delegate this, so this is where we can take more attention to this topic.
Thank you.
Sure.
Julie, with the accountability matrix, which I really like that idea, how long has it taken you to implement that for other clients? It feels like it's a big project.
Yeah, initially it's a big project. We would work with staff to bring you a draft. Couple months probably.
Any other questions or comments? If not, thank you very much. This is, we always look forward to seeing our peers and how we think about these surveys every couple of years. So this is very insightful. Thank you.
Thank you. And Chair Gardner, this item is for discussion and action, so the board needs to accept its self-assessment.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you for that. So we got a motion by Santos, second was Votto. Second by Votto. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. All right, on to retirements. Brett F. Bleen, Fire Captain, Fire Department, effective January 29th, 2026, with 27.75 years of service. Jason Clements, Fire Captain, Fire Department, effective January 31st, 2026, with 26 years of service. Joseph Crivello, Battalion Chief, Fire Department, effective January 29th, 2026, with 30.52 years of service. Matthew De Lorenzo, Police Officer, Police Department, effective January 23rd, 2026, with 25.36 years of service with reciprocity. Louis Fong, Fire Prevention Inspector, Fire Department, effective January 31st, 2026, with 25.11 years of service. Daniel Lizardo Jr., Fire Engineer, Fire Department, effective January 31st, 2026, with 25.92 years of service. Matthew E. McIntyre, Fire Captain, Fire Department, effective July 9th, 2025, with 25 years of service. Gilbert M. Morales, Fire Engineer, Fire Department, effective January 31st, 2026, with 27.16 years of service. Benjamin I. Narano, Fire Captain, Fire Department, effective January 31st, 2026, with 28.59 years of service. Scott E. Nelson, Fire Captain, Fire Department, effective January 15th, 2026, with 25.61 years of service. Michael D. O'Brien, Police Officer, Police Department, effective January 31st, 2026, with 27.27 years of service. Hector Sandoval, Fire Engineer, Fire Department, effective January 31st, 2026, with 26.1 years of service. Sean T. Tacklin, Battalion Chief, Fire Department, effective January 31st, 2026, with 29.99 years of service. And Scott W. Trotter, Fire Captain, Fire Department, effective January 31st, 2026, with 29.97 years of service.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion approved by Santos.
Second.
Second by Eshwar. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
A lot of retirement, fire, somebody left.
13 firefighter.
Besides you.
Yeah, this is always our busiest time of year, December, January. But it's a lot of people, a lot of years experience that we're losing out. Early retirement, Greg Sniffen, Fire Captain, Fire Department, effective January 31st, 2026, with 24.65 years of service.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Santos, second by Gardenier. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And deferred vested, Matthew D. Medina, Police Officer, Police Department, effective December 30th, 2025, with 27.15 years of service with reciprocity.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Santos,
Second.
second by Votto. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All right. I know there's a lot of people there. Anybody have any comments they want to make?
Oh, of course, the best to them, but, a couple of them were young people when, they came on when I was just getting ready to retire, but you know them more than I do.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, these are all great individuals, worked with all of them, served their community for a very long time. Appreciate their service and enjoy your retirement. Stay healthy. All right, we'll go to death and survivorship notifications. Notification of the death of Ronald Hackett, fire inspector, retired September 2nd, 2004, died December 15th, 2025. No survivorship benefits. Notification of the death of Keith J. Livermore, firefighter, retired June 1st, 1996, died December 3rd, 2025. No survivorship benefits. Notifications of the death of John M.C. Gill, police officer, retired October 16th, 2017, died November 22nd, 2025. Survivorship benefits to Lourdes M.C. Gill, spouse. Notification of the death of Joseph Penaflor, fire captain, retired September 7th, 1988, died November 12th, 2025. Survivorship benefits to Mary Penaflor, spouse. Notification of the death of Sam Siebert, fire captain, retired March 28th, 1976, died November 30th, 2025. No survivorship benefits. Notification of the death of M. Earl Thompson, assistant fire chief, retired August 12th, 1985, died November 12th, 2025. Survivorship benefits to Carol Thompson, spouse. This time we'll take a moment of silence. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I do want to take the time because it's always sad. And I was really fortunate because I worked with all of them. And they're all famous and, and all important. But there's no question about Captain Seibert. I don't know if you folks know it. He was always on the newspaper and we had big parties for him. He was 103 years old. Yeah, somewhere near. And I had some good working fires with him and he was a heck of a guy. They all worked, but it's sad. It's sad. So thank you.
I echo what Santos said. The department always celebrated the longevity that he had and the service he put in. He ended up being retired for 50 years. All right, we'll go ahead and go to committee assignments report out. Investment committee.
Okay. So we did have a meeting in December 16th. Most of it was discussing the private markets program Dinesh and David presented. And I guess we have the minutes of the August 26th to receive.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, go ahead and receive and file the minutes from August 26th. Audit risk. Howard.
Our last meeting was in October, which we reported in the November board meeting. Our next meeting is in February, where Dave Woolsey will be assuming the chair position. There are two actions we'll take, and I'll let John talk about the management letter response as well as the disclosures.
Sure. On the agenda for today, we have a discussion and action to accept the management letter and comments. Included in the management letter is the management response. So we had one outstanding recommendation from MGO last year, which they are now considering closed, which is fantastic. Thank you to the investment staff for working through that. The new recommendation from this year is to revise policies and procedures to ensure more timely processing on members returning from military leave. So little background. When a member goes on military leave, their account goes into exceptions within our pension gold system. So that's the pension administration system by which we manage all of our pension contributions and retirement calculations. As part of the sampling that MGO did, they identified a member, which then led to identifying 10 members that were listed as on leave, but were still in exception status. So there is a bit of a lag time from when a member comes back from leave, from when city HR processes the exceptions so that we can reconcile the pension gold records with the payroll records. Also, these members, there is a traditional pattern where they'll go on multiple leaves throughout a career. So by the time we actually get through a full reconciliation of their history, it could be a number of years because they tend to go on back-to-back leaves. So while the audit only identified 10 members, it still amounted to 1 million of impact to our valuation, which on the grand scale, is a fraction of a percent. But nonetheless, it's good practice, especially to identify these members in the appropriate status. So ORS is, we agree with the recommendation. We have already started to work with city payroll to do some better coordination to what I would just say is better manage the timeliness of the exception processing, but that, again, that's work that HR needs to do. But then we're also exploring opportunities within our own pension gold system such that these members won't have to stay in this exception status until the city provides the reconciliation that we need. So that'll allow us, at the very least, when they come back from leave, we'll be able to process the payrolls after they come back, maintain a proper status for these members, so that we can at least shrink the gap of the exception window. So that's what management response says we're going to do. We'll discuss this at our next set of joint audit committees, and then track this until the recommendations are what we believe is fully remediated. And of course, NGO will follow up on it in their next financial audit.
Any comments? This is an action item, so.
Correct.
Motion.
Okay, motion by Sunita,
We're just accepting it.
It's accepting management letter.
second by Santos, that's correct? Yep. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. All right, governance, Santos.
Basically covered that. There's a couple of action items there other than that in the minutes.
Okay. Okay. We'll go
I
ahead.
think you did a great job in terms of succession planning. These are the way it should be.
So, any discussion on the 7.3A, which is the discussion action on revised board operational policy?
So that's just, I'm sorry, I apologize. 7.3A is just the oral update from the chair.
Okay.
And then we'll move to B to receive and file the minutes.
Okay. Go ahead and receive and file the minutes on for the governance of December 4th, 2025. 7.3C, discussion and action on governance committee recommendation to accept the updated board operational policy.
Need a motion, so moved.
Motion by Santos,
Second.
second by Eshwar. Any discussion?
If you'll just allow me to just a quick, so the updates to the operational policy were driven initially by the change of our meeting location. So one of the items in this policy defines where we meet. So that was the initial update. We reviewed with Reed Smith to bring this in compliance with current board operations, and adjusting some municipal code references. On the federated side, there was also some discussion around potentially adding some term limits for committee meetings. The governance, we worked with Aon and to draft some what I would call hard term limits in terms of committees. Discussion at the governance committee removed those hard limits and replaced them with considerations that the chair should make when assigning committees. Essentially thinking everything that Chair Gardner mentioned, which is consideration for succession planning, consideration for new board member education and experiences, and so we tried to reflect that into here as best we can. And then the last thing that has been on the San Jose Municipal Code for a while, found some old memos from Roberto from 2015, but around board trustee absentees in relation to board meetings. And so we added that into this policy as well. And basically, just for your reference, it says if you're absent from more than 20% of the board meetings or 3 consecutive meetings, you are automatically resigned from your trustee position. And so that translates for us either 3 board meetings or 3 board meetings in a row or 3 board meetings throughout the year, the calendar year. And so we just codified that here, what's excused absence, what's unexcused absence, and then also working with admin to make sure that we're proactively reminding the trustees, when they do have an absent, whether or not they want to, they believe that's excused or unexcused, and or where they are in terms of the number for the calendar year, so that, you can better manage your, schedule if needed.
Good question. So did did they institute hard term limits?
No.
So neither board.
They have a mirror, other than the adjustments needed for the difference of the number of board members, we're proposing the same policy to them.
Mhm. So what was the logic? Is there a best practice in pension boards or?
I don't know, I'll ask Julie to
Yeah.
come back to the mic.
But this is in the muni code,
For term limits,
no, for the amount of, you can miss.
the number of missed meetings that's municipal code. I'm sorry, was that your question?
No.
Okay.
No, I was just trying to clarify where she's coming up.
I think Cynthia's question was around term limits?
Yes, I think Franco's question is different from mine.
Yes,
Yeah.
so apologize.
So, there's pros and cons to term limits. We don't recommend them as automatic. Definitely should have them. It really depends on the board and the board's preference. I think, where it came up on the federated side was a desire of a trustee to be on different committees, and trustee perhaps felt they weren't getting consideration, and thought there should be more rotation. So I think the compromise, having the chair have a lot of discretion and taking into account considerations, was a nice result set.
But I was just more curious about best practice across your other clients.
Some have them, some do not. Again, there's not a hard, fast recommendation that you should have them or not. We really make recommendations depending on the circumstances and the board's comfort level. So, there's definitely pros and cons, on either side.
Okay.
So we talk those through, when the issue comes up.
I mean, I personally see a lot of benefit in having at least a rule of thumb. And so it's sort of a expectation that people rotate and be the exception that people stay on beyond a certain point, because then then of course the board can always repeat that, but it sounds like that's not what the rest of the committee agreed to.
Correct.
So-
Yeah, in fact, we worked with Aon to draft hard term limits, and the committee requested that we take them out. So we have some committee members here. I'll let them speak. I don't need to
So
speak.
we had a pretty robust conversation about it. And how it really came down is I think everyone agrees that we want some rotation on the board. But given the constraints, our numbers, it felt like putting in hard and fast rules had the potential of creating more problems than not, especially as you think about the different committees and requirements for each committee. That solving a problem for one committee could create a problem for another, which is why we came down along the lines of putting in considerations for the chair to specify out very clearly our desire that board members have experience across all committees. But not putting in a hard and fast rule that might have unintended consequences.
Could you point me to where that is? Sorry, maybe I missed it on.
So paragraph 8 of it starts off on committee assignments.
Okay. Give me a second.
Sure, no, that's from staff, maybe we could bring up 7.3A. Oh, yeah, that's fine. That's the red line version. Red line version's hard to read.
Say it's easier to read the clean version.
Yeah, standing committee is 8. So if we could go to paragraph 8.
So the need to ensure all board members are exposed to the full range of the board's responsibilities, or?
That's the goal. That's the consideration.
Okay. I mean, I would have rather seen something a little bit more quantitative than judgmental, but I'll go with whatever the consensus was.
I had a question. I know in some discussions in the past, there was the issue that we have a rule that the federated doesn't have, which is the board chair and vice chair cannot chair a committee. Is that something that we look to, should we keep it, remove it?
Federated said that they don't have that component of it because of their size, right? It was limiting if they could not be part of the committee structure.
Okay.
I think for some of their committees, then there are two people, or we would have three.
Right. They also don't, the chair doesn't, there's no term limit for the chair either, right? So there are some of those components that are different, but in terms of the committee structure, we're proposing the same language.
But we keeping the fact that the chair and vice chair cannot chair a committee.
That is the current proposal, yeah.
And is there a reason for it?
Except for JPC,
Was that?
except for the JPC.
Except for,
What I would say is it wasn't something that was addressed as a concern ever, so it wasn't, it was not something I considered changing.
So yeah, we didn't discuss it in the meeting. My personal opinion, if we had,
Yeah.
is we're a big enough board that it does give us protection from a chair or vice chair being maybe more powerful than we,
Okay.
so it retains,
Yeah.
power at the full board level.
Any other discussion? If not, we do have a motion on the floor. Santos, second by Eshwar. Any further discussion? All in favor?
I gotta say one thing, I
Sorry.
just wanna say, I thought it was well done overall. I mean, it looked like it needed a lot of cleanup, so I thought it was good work overall.
Thank you.
Sorry about that,
Oh,
Howard.
that's okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, 7.3C, we already did 7D before the consent calendar, so we're on to disability update. Trustee Santos.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Next meeting is February the 9th. We have an excellent committee and the staff did a great job and then the panel is 4-star.
Great, thank you. And we'll go ahead and receive the minutes, receive and file the minutes for December 10th, 2025. JPC update, Trustee Menon.
Yes, so we had a first round of interviews for the CIO position on January 8th. We have a second round next week. So, we have a good group of candidates with a range of experience and skills, and I think the process is moving along. Hopefully a joint board meeting next month.
Yes, so just as a reminder, joint board meeting scheduled for February 11th. It's a Wednesday. We have it tentatively blocked out for a long period of the day, but we'll have a better idea after next week how many candidates we should expect.
All right, and we'll go ahead and receive and file the October 24th, 2025 minutes for the JPC. Any proposed agenda items next month? Any public comments? No public comments. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.